my name is Thea.
And I'm Tony.
And we are the two sisters that founded the online magazine sisterMAG 5 years ago.
However, we couldn't produce a high-quality publication with photo shoots, video productions, in-depth articles, and so much more without our contributors.
Because sisterMAG is all handmade.
Modern handmade. Our podcast shows you the personalities and friends behind the magazine. We are talking to creators from Berlin and all over the world about their job,
but also about their career path, ideas for the future, and sometimes about their favorite food. Let's begin.
Don't forget to follow and rate us on iTunes or SoundCloud.
Welcome, Onn. First of all, I want to ask you to introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? Where do you live?
Hi, I'm Onn Halpern. I'm originally from Israel. I live in Berlin and I kind of go around all over Europe usually. Lately I'm super a lot in Italy, in Bergamo, because my girlfriend is from there. And what I do is I make films, and whatever project that comes, I'm trying to conquer it basically with the same kind of set of skills and creativity that I have.
Yeah, so how did you start your career? Like, how did you come into videography?
I was traveling in Southeast Asia, and while traveling, I started developing really a lot of passion for photography. And then this is what you do in Beijing. Basically, you have to buy a lot of electronics. So I bought my first camera, and then I started just playing with taking pictures. And when I finished my trip, basically, I felt like being in Europe. It was like I wanted to change the scene. Like it was really, I don't know, Chinese everywhere. And then I wanted to have like European everywhere, just to change the mood. I don't know, I kind of wanted to combine this visual thing that I started doing with music, which was another really big passion of mine. So I just took the camera and I did something like a music video, but just with stills. So this kind of stop motion, but not really as an artistic choice, but as a limitation I had, which is always the best in any case. And then, I did in Tel Aviv, actually, I did it with some friends, something with like stop motion, going on the bicycle and stuff like this. And then I was like, wow, video, I really want to start trying this. And then it developed into this.
So I talked to another videographer the other day, and for him it is just video. So he says he cannot take picture if I would force him to. He said, oh, you don't want to see that. But for you it's different. Why did you choose between video production and photography? And could you see yourself going back to photography maybe?
For me it's the complete opposite. It's like video is the ultimate tool for me because I'm so deeply connected to cinema, first of all. And since I was a kid, it was like something I did with my father, and I watched way too many forbidden movies for children, like, I don't know, seeing Mulholland Drive in the cinema when I was completely shocked and things like that. So this is one aspect. But then I was also drawing since I was a child. So there's this kind of, let's say today it's more graphic thing. And music, I was into music always. And then I found that I'm super into fonts. And all of these worlds are really combined in videos. So I can combine my love for music, which is totally one of the biggest tools for editing, and my love for traveling as well, and my love to make titles and things like that. So everything is incorporated into one video. And I think it's, really fun. And then I am really into photography. And I feel like I love it that I can save it as more as a passion and less as a business creative thing, because it was totally free when I started editing and experimenting with film, and pretty fast I found myself earning money from this. And this is basically, I think, once you earn money, so it's this kind of more professional thing. And when it went more and more into this, I saw it shifting meaning for me. So I get more professional and I get more whatever, but there is something a bit more serious about it. And the challenge for me is always to get free from that, to still have really a lot of fun. But there is something really nice that I keep photography like away from that. Sometimes I find myself do it kind of professionally for someone, but it's not my first option. I really enjoy to look at it as like I love street photography, and I can find myself trying more and challenging myself and learning and doing it completely for myself.
Yeah, true. When you look at your Instagram, you can see that you started taking a lot more pictures and a lot of street photography that I really like. So we'll definitely link to that in the comments. So another question, how did you meet sisterMAG? So how did these worlds meet, and what project do you remember the most with us?
So it all starts with stupid IKEA red leather.
True.
Basically. This kind of really unimportant thing. So me and my ex, we moved to Berlin and we looked for things for our new apartment, and we were kind of, I don't know, young and really trying to save on everything, and we were like really high on the idea of everything secondhand. So everything was secondhand, and we saw this €9 red leather in eBay Kleinanzeigen, and my ex said, we need to get this. And I was like, what? Why? I mean, we were, on the other side of town and walking to Neukölln or something and get this stupid thing, yeah. But in the end, we did it. And then we met Victoria, the girl that owns this ladder, basically. And she decided to sell it for €9. And I think we were in this kind of mode when we just moved to Berlin that we were super communicative, super social. Victoria was also very social, so very fast we found ourselves like talking way more than
leather buying eBay customers.
Yeah, leather small talk. And yeah, we found ourselves kind of like meeting each other again, and there was a link with you.
Yeah, so Victoria was also in the first days of sisterMAG very important contributor and wrote a lot of articles.
True.
And
right, there was a big connection back then. And somehow she made this kind of connection between us. I mean, it's a tricky question because I remember the most the first project we did together because it was one of the best as well somehow, you know? It was like really, really spontaneous, and you kind of threw a lot of things on my back. You were like, make these 4 videos in 30 minutes.
True. It was sisterMAG number, I think 9, which was a crazy issue back then because we did so much content and we had this idea of different dance styles. And so you shot 4 dance videos where I didn't give you any budget for music, for example. So I was like, yeah, just figure something out.
Yeah, that was so hard.
So we did hip hop, ballet, contemporary, and tango.
No, salsa.
Salsa, sorry. Exactly. And you did that in a very fast time. And I think that set my standard for cutting, and that was not a good idea to have that.
Yeah, it was super fast. I was shocked of myself. I was like...
They are so great, those videos. We actually look at them quite a lot.
Yeah,
still.
because sometimes you do things and you really need to bring them, from here, like from your shoulder, like you really need to
just whip them.
Yeah, just whip them out. And sometimes you whip them out and it's just perfect. You're like and it just falls. I mean, no, I really tried and I worked on it and everything, but it was this kind of very intuitive project because also the filming. I just came, I saw that you're making, this dance thing, and you had a makeup lady and all of this, and I just came and I started walking around the dancer and moving my camera. So it also met me in this experimental time, and I did what I was experimenting with, This is why it was a very cool beginning for us, because it was totally me doing what I'm doing now and you what you're doing now, and it was a really good connection.
Yeah.
And then I needed to look for hours for music for this. That was really hard.
Shit.
That was really hard.
Okay. Yeah, that is definitely a project to remember. I mean, we did a lot of things during the time. I actually looked again, and you were at my hometown in Freiberg when we had the Ice Princess on the ice, and you did a video.
Featured in the local newspaper.
Exactly, featured in the local newspaper. And then we did this again in my hometown, the Essie video, where we still...
in this beautiful studio.
In the attic.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then of course our trip to Portugal just last year.
This is the thing I was going to say, that it's hard because the first project is the most remembered, but on the other hand the Portugal trip was epic. It was really everything.
It's really hard to explain to people because I guess it was because we were 7 people in an Airbnb just closed up for 1 week and so much food and wine that no one would not like it.
Yeah.
But it definitely is a good week to remember, and I mean the footage and the photos and everything that came out of it are just so great and so marvelous. So how would you describe your videos and style of cinematography? Because you just said the first videos, they really met your experimental phase. So how would you describe your style?
I think that in the beginning, at least, I had no official education about it. So it was whatever I'm trying. And it's something I really like also. Once I was studying, trying to play on guitar, and my friend, who is a great player, I asked him to teach me. And he told me, wait, try a bit, because I see that you're inventing chords that I would never invent, but they are actually actually working. And I really liked it and I stayed with it, that, in those situations you embrace inventing things and trying. Then at a certain point I went to cinema school. And in any case, my roots in cinema are very deep for me. So it's this kind of connection between whatever works and my own creativity for visuals and for photography and using special techniques, like whatever works, this kind of thing, and just trying. And the other one is also more planned and trying to get the cinematic shots. So it's something somewhere in between, especially when it's also traveling. And I guess that my style could be very vibey, I might call it, that sometimes it's very connected to music and it's playing on the chords of feelings, like you see it and you might go along with the vibe. And I would say if you need to kind of put a finger on a style that I developed, it would be somewhere there, because it's the connection of music and visuals and camera that could be sometimes shaky or whatever.
So you just mentioned that you for a while studied. You were in Tel Aviv, right?
No, in Jerusalem.
At Jerusalem?
Jerusalem.
So what course was it and what did you take from it and why did you stop it, or tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I'm still, I guess like everyone, trying to understand myself. And since I was kind of young, I was always loving to study things by myself. So completely, like if it's playing music or drawing or filming or whatever. So it was always this kind of thing that I enjoyed, to study things by myself. Then I did it as well with the photography and the videography, and it started working for me. Like it was very apparent that I can do this thing, and it was working, and I started working with people and all of this. But at a certain point I felt like I want something to push me a bit. I told myself like, I'm a lemon and I need somebody to squeeze me a bit. This is the summarize of why I decided to go to cinema school. Also, it's a difficult situation for somebody that is never judged, because I'm always by my own rules, and if somebody doesn't like it or doesn't understand it, I don't mind saying like, it's your problem. You know, this is what I do. I like it. But at the same time, I was like, okay, let's go there. Let them judge me. So I applied for this cinema school in Jerusalem called Sam Spiegel, and I got in and I went studying there. And then it was really amazing experience for me. I learned a lot, but I don't know, it's like my scratch for traveling and for moving and for being independent was too hard. I went to do 2 music videos in London while studying in the mid-break, and while being there I was like, oh man. You know, I told myself, I don't know if I can go back and finish the year, but I know that I'm not going to stay there for 5 years. And then I said, like, I might as well just go to Spain. And this is basically what happened.
Okay, so when you also talk about old cinema and old films that you looked at, where do you get your inspiration from these old films? And if yes, what are films that you love, or where do you look for inspiration?
I get inspiration in many different places. I have this kind of big romantic feeling of me seeing movies with my dad when I was young. Without thinking about it, I understood one day that I got a really good cinema education from him. But just from this kind of, you know, seeing a movie that they put on TV or going to the cinema, because my parents go a lot to the cinema. So I grew with this kind of love for cinema and traveling as well and all of this. So there was this time of these American movies of, I don't know, Police and like Serpico with Al Pacino, or all the King's Men. I don't know, we saw Lynch, and the biggest story is that my parents took me to see Dancing with Wolves. When I was just born. Like I was way too little and everybody looked at them really weird that they took me to the cinema. But they just had to, so I guess it started over there. But I really appreciate all of the directors today a lot, like Paul Thomas Anderson and There Will Be Blood. And Coen Brothers also, since I was young. I remember I had a birthday when I was, I don't know what, and my parents brought this kind of cassettes of this movie of Coen Brothers, and I always enjoyed myself so much from good cinema. I mean, there's so many things for me. There is this like French new wave, and I love the Cherbourg's umbrellas, which is amazing. If you didn't say it, you have to. Colors and stuff, it would be totally your thing. So there's too much, I guess.
And so you've been traveling so much, and you also lived in a lot of places. And what are differences, for example, between working in Berlin and working in Israel? And would you say that you have like an Israeli view on the things? And how would you describe that, your heritage?
Well, the most coherent thing I can think about is that we get things done. It's just something that, you know, like they say on the chutzpah, you know. So I don't know if it's exactly this, but because Israelis, for me, Israelis are not like Jews. You know, we have different characteristics, which are actually the complete opposite from all of the characteristics that you would think about the image of Jewish people, because it's much more, it's like this kind of working with the hands, getting dirty, being on the ground, working for things, sweating. It's less this business thing. It's more like, now we're gonna be, you know, strong and working with the hands and whatever. So I think this I have, well, I like to be lazy as well, which is a big thing because this is why you love traveling, I think. And, you know, I'm good with when things are needed to get done, I can totally do them and I'm up for it. Yeah.
So what was so far the biggest challenge in your career?
I think I'm trying to create for myself a lot of small challenges always, whenever it gets too quiet in any case. And I understood that I have to create limitations for myself as well. So you set yourself a rule that you have to do this or that, and you have to use narration here. And this helps me. And every time I do some kind of shtick in a film that I didn't use before, so it's a small challenge for me. But definitely, you know, I did some larger scale music videos that were definitely a big responsibility as well, because you deal with a big budget and you deal with a lot of people that work, and you deal with a lot of different departments, where when you are doing this kind of one-man thing that is just your eye, you know, it's just showing what your eye is seeing and everything else is untouched, it's something more personal. But with this, you have to be all the time external, all the time simultaneously look everywhere and be everywhere. And that was a big challenge for me at the time.
Tell us a little bit more about that music video. But also put that down because you showed me the end result. But who was it for and how did you approach such a huge project?
So I have a very good friend, his name is Liel, and he's also originally from Israel. He's in Berlin and he was studying film and now he studies directing. And we are friends from home, but we have this great language. I mean, we really understand each other. And we found ourselves interested in the same things. So we started doing things together. Like I got this kind of music video and I said, let's do it together. And then he got approached about this music video and we did it together. So we end up doing 3 or 4, even 5, I'm not sure already. So we did those videos, music videos. And then there was this, it's always weird connections actually with us. So somebody kind of told somebody about Liel in Berlin, and this singer from Israel contacted him, and we found ourselves in this new mission of doing a very ambitious music video. Liel had this crazy idea about creating this kind of 3 stories that are the same characters but in different eras. So one was in like the 20s, one was this kind of blade, vampire-y, I don't know, techno kind of
90s
scene. Yeah, maybe something like this, like motorcycle, leather jacket, and the other one was like a complete princess on a horse. So we found ourselves suddenly like really producing this shit. I mean,
with the horse.
With the horse, with a proper motorcycle, filming while moving with a 20 dancer swing company from Berlin with an incredible dancer in the middle. Her name is Ksenia. She's from Russia originally, and she's, you know, she was just amazing. So it was suddenly this kind of much bigger production with costumes, with a lot of people, with really good cameras, with lights. It was a big jump for both of us. And the horse, it's really good that we had some German standards in it, because we actually had insurance for everyone. So there was a part that she almost fell off the horse and ran away, and we were running after the princess, like shouting like, no! She fell in the end into a big bush of spades, and it was like a total beautiful catastrophe. Yeah, it was a cool thing. It was also a very, very cool feeling, like to create something that a lot of people are taking part in, and they have their own personal mountains to climb in it and whatever, you know.
Yeah. So in that project, what is your role in such a thing? So from concept to actually filming to cutting, what part do you like most, and what do you do then in such a huge project?
We were actually doing everything. We found ourselves doing everything, which it didn't really surprise us. I mean, we were going for this. In the end, we found ourselves also doing a lot of the producing. and we found ourselves, finding a horse and all of those things.
Yeah.
That like really producing everything and then meeting with the costume designer and going on this and that and arranging casting and everything. But then also, we planned everything together and we built all of the shots together and we blocked everything and we thought about costumes and, all of the planning was something we did together in these kind of long nights. Just trying to imagine things. And then on set I had the role of the director and Liel was on the camera. Even though we were both directors, but we need he needs to have his place to be concentrated on filming as well. So it's this kind of strange work method that we kind of develop more and more every time, because we are basically both directors, but in some occasions if Liel is actually filming as well, like behind the camera. So on set we have some separation that Liel is like handling, everything you need to handle, like the light department and all of this technician side. And I go on the directing, but we have this dialogue between us.
Yeah.
So one of the things we developed, we used to laugh about it, that we are like the hugging directors, because on the first music videos, we reached those points that we were like almost, like really arguing about something, and we, also friends can be also really angry at each other. So we had those moments that we were totally like really, on the edge. But because we're such good friends, we can get real for a second. So I remember I told him like, let's go to the side for just a second. And we just stand there and we're like, let's be friends, let's work together. And then we used to just hug and go back to set completely,
in unison.
Yeah, like as a one unite power, and we said like, okay, we will be this kind of weird hugging directors. That it's like we almost fight and then we hug and everything is good.
So that brings me to a more pragmatic question, but how much do you think equipment is essential to a video? So what is your most important thing when you choose tech, and what camera would you like to have? What do you use? So just the pragmatic technical side on things.
I'm really into details, and when I buy things, I check them a lot before, because I really want it to be functional and I really want it to be catering my needs in a very comfortable way. So before I buy a bag, I really check it and I want to know that it's this kind of lifetime guarantee. And I
remember you had a new bag in Portugal.
Yeah.
It's not funny how much you talked about that bag.
But it's, what? It's not only the fact that I talk about this bag, because also other people talk about it. They come and they're like, what an awesome bag. Well, because I check these things and then people notice it. At least like Chris was noticing it and whatever. So I'm very satisfied when I buy something and it's actually really comfortable, really working for me. The other day, there was this super weird storm in Berlin suddenly. Yeah. And I, by the way, came to Berlin with shorts and white t-shirt, and that's it. Nothing else. I really didn't look at the weather when I came from Italy. So I found myself completely wet in the street. And then I came in and I told my friend, Liel, I told him, at least it's good that I buy really good bags. Because it's waterproof. So what I usually do is that I have my bag. I like to travel light if I can. And I have there my 5D. And then I would have probably 150 lens and one 24 to 70 and a monopod, and then some other stuff that I might use, but basically this is what I need in order to be sure that I can do something, and I have like a small mic that I can actually put on my iPhone and record people. So this is like the most basic triangle of things that I can work with, and I know that I can do something, and I know that I can do also something really beautiful with it. Yeah. But then if the project need more things, then it's a story that can go and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. So 2 last questions. First of all, what would you, and this comes from Tony. So she was like, okay, this goes to my very character of knowing people. What would you do if you wouldn't be a videographer? So that's her question.
Okay. But did she guess?
No.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I can get her guess and then I'll tell you what you say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you should check that. I think it would be a chef.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the culinary tour was very up your alley?
Oh man, it was super up my alley.
Okay.
Sounds so dirty, but yeah, it was really up my alley.
Okay. So one question for that. What was your favorite spot to eat in Portugal? I mean, it's hard because you spent actually a lot of time in Portugal,
Yeah.
even after we left. And
Yeah, but let's narrow this. So
Let's
only
narrow this,
sisterMAG time.
okay.
I guess, well, two places come to mind. One is this wine bar in Lisbon. That was a really funny and great experience for me. But it was funny for me that three people, they were like, yeah, we like wine. I mean, yeah.
So it was Francie, Jules, and you, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So we went there. And I'm just humble about it because it's not this kind of thing that I was always really into, red wine. It's this kind of long process for me. I always like to cook with it, but it took me time to kind of really get into. So I feel like it played a big part. And then Alex as well, you know, every time I come to Berlin, I'm telling him like, Alex, I'm coming to Berlin. I'm ready for a lesson, for a wine lesson. Let's do it. So I felt like, yeah, I got really connected more, and it was this really incredible night. But, you know, maybe more than that was the night I went with Alex and Saskia to two Michelin star restaurant. I think the name is Ocean or...
Yeah, I'll link to it.
Yeah, so it was literally by the ocean and this amazing place.
At the Algarve.
At the Algarve, which is in any case my favorite area in Portugal. And as I said, I love food in general, and I love street food, and I love fine dining. But I like it when it works, you know? So I've been to many places that were, you know, fine dining, high. But in my opinion, at least, I was like, pfft. But this place was amazing. I was really impressed, you know, like taking one bite and exploring the tastes. It was like an experience for me. And it was this moment that I also said to myself, it's like a tour. It's like this kind of sensual tour, and it's completely an adventure. So I really, really enjoyed this dinner. It was an incredible place.
And last question is, what project would you love to do in the future? So is there a dream that you want to do, or like a place where you want to film? So is there anything that you're dreaming of?
It's funny because I guess that one of the things that kind of in a way go with me a lot is that I don't have this one dream that I'm aiming towards, because since I was young I kind of understood that I think it's much better diagram to, instead of have this kind of pyramid that goes up and becomes narrower. So if you flip it, I felt like it makes much more sense. You know, you start at one point and then you become broader about things. So instead of being this one thing specialist guy, I would like to have a lot of things that I put my hand in or take my inspiration from. So to your question, I think that I don't have this one thing that I'm dreaming of. It's like I have these ambitions in traveling things, and I don't know, I have ideas that we can do things over there and over that. I'm still directing myself into cinema in the end of the day, and this is one of the things that I'm all the time taking more steps into it, and I'm writing a lot, and I'm kind of very conscious about it. So also when I'm doing something that is really not cinema, I find myself practicing this kind of eye all the time. And in the end of the day, I would like to shoot this kind of road movie in the US with Liel, like doing something crazy. This is something I would love to do, or whatever else crazy in cinema. That's also good. I have a lot of ideas that I would like to make. But I like the way things are developing naturally. Like you go to buy a red leather and you meet Victoria and she makes the connection with Thea, and suddenly I'm doing these videos, and now 5 years later I'm here. True. In this interview, and then it takes me, last year I came just to say hi, and suddenly we were talking about Portugal.
And then we went.
Exactly, and then we went, and from Portugal I found myself going to Israel, and from Israel things happen. You know, I love the invisible net of life that, you know, I just think that you need to be open for whatever comes, and things come. So you just need to be aware to grab those threads, and super exciting things are coming. I don't know, you find yourself going to new adventures in life and on the globe.
Thank you. That were very, very nice last words. And it was really great to talk to you. I mean, it's always nice to talk about these things with friends that you usually talk about work, or not that in a grand scheme of things. So thank you very much for coming. And
thank you.
I hope that we'll do a lot of movies and films and projects together.
I agree. The most important thing is that we have friendship now.
I Now especially with that face.
I had to correct
The very sobby
seriousness,
end of this conversation. Okay.
Yeah. No,
Thank
but
you.
I came today to the building and I was like, this is really cool. I mean, I feel comfortable here now. I mean, it's not like the first time I came and we did this project. I mean, now it's really nice.
It's family. It's
Yeah,
sisterMAG
we're
family.
building this mutual trust.
True.
It's cool.
That's true.
Don't forget to follow and rate us on iTunes or SoundCloud.